Afsana, thank you very much indeed for talking to Arise News. Briefly tell us how you came to lose custody of your son, Louis.
Well, what happened in brief was that my relationship had broken down. I was married to a French national who was an Emirati, and then I found myself in a terrible situation in terms of reporting domestic abuse. And it was against that background that I first went to the Dubai authorities for help and the British Embassy. I wanted to come back home with my child. I found myself in a situation where the Dubai authorities had basically said to me that I should be listening to my husband, I should be obeying him, and then I ended up being trapped because my passport was taken. So I found myself in a really, really difficult position where I was destitute with a one-year-old baby.
And what happened subsequently?
What happened subsequently was for 3 years, I was in that situation where I had no support systems, everything was cut off. I went into hiding because of harassment from the Dubai police. I had a lot of dealings with the British Embassy at that time who refused to help me. And then I found, to my horror and utter devastation, that the Dubai Sharia court had awarded custody to my ex-husband.
Right.
I hadn't been there, I didn't have a fair trial, and the grounds for custody were that I had been responsible for my son's eczema and I had refused to obey my husband. I mean, that's what the custody order was given on, and Louis was taken off me subsequently.
Well, I mean, there is a suggestion that you failed to turn up with your child at an access meeting ordered by a court. Do you think that tipped the scale against you and strengthened your partner's allegation that you had, in effect, abducted the child?
I don't accept that, because in any other country, if you are a victim of domestic abuse like I was assaulted in a public park. I had made reports to that effect to the police. The police's response was, in that particular country, where if you don't, again, listen to your husband, if you don't obey, then the law of chastisement allows your husband to physically punish you. If the laws allow that, and there's no protection for women like myself, I would be putting myself in danger and my child in danger by going to these access meetings where my safety is at threat.
Are you in touch with your son at all? Can you speak to him on the phone or Skype him, or do you have visitation rights?
Unfortunately, the judgment that was given by the Sharia Court of Dubai wiped out all my parental rights, and I've been denied all access to my son. So 2 years on, unfortunately and tragically for myself, but more importantly for my son, I've effectively been wiped out of his life.
So what exactly do you want? Is it access to your child, custody of the child, a change to the legal system in the UAE, or all of the above?
I think it's important to try and sort of explain that at the end of the day, my son is a British citizen. I'm his mother. He, like any child, deserves to have a mother's in life. So first and foremost, what I'm calling upon the UAE to do is to reunite me with my son. My son shouldn't be deprived of a mother until he's 18 years of age. Unfortunately, that is the tragic and sad reality I face. Is
your ex from the UAE? Is he Muslim?
No, he's not. He's a practicing French Catholic.
So he took advantage of the Sharia law in Dubai,
absolutely.
UAE, essentially.
Absolutely, Charles. You just have to read the judgment to look that it's littered with references to religion and to, if you like, not being Muslim enough. Now, the fact of the matter is he's not Muslim, and as far as I'm concerned, we married in England. We had a, British marriage.
Could you challenge him at a court in France or the European Union?
Unfortunately, France, like the UK, recognises Sharia. Most people don't know this, but they do recognise Sharia judgments from these Islamic countries. So all legal avenues, as far as I can see, are changed. Unless there is a change in the law in these countries that do not accept these Sharia judgments, it would be difficult for me to see how I would be able to overturn that decision.
Now, you have not received any help, really, from the British government, but you've managed to attract the attention of the United Nations. Tell us about that.
That's absolutely correct. Part of my case involves quite a lot of human rights violations, not a fair trial, and most importantly, the judicial system of Dubai is very, very inherently discriminatory towards women, and women, particularly in my situation, who have faced violence and abuse. So what the United Nations, the Special Rapporteur for Violence Against Women, is examining is a report not only into my case but wider issues, and that's been submitted by a human rights charity, Human Rights Watch, and Redress. And I think that's important because it's important that the UAE, if they want to be a modern country, if they want to be seen as modernised, then they need to fall in line with the rest of the world. And it's important for me to enable my son to know that I'm fighting for him every day in every way possible.
You've marked the 2-year anniversary since you lost custody of your son with a protest along with other people. Do you expect that that'll make much of a difference?
That I don't know. My only hope is, I mean, part of the reason I did that and I organised it is yesterday was exactly 2 years. It's very traumatizing for me. Every day is very, very difficult. And what I wanted to do is send out a message to my son wherever he is, to know that I haven't forgotten him, that his mother loves him, and also to send a very strong message to the UAE to say that, you know, they can block me and prevent me in many ways, but it will never stop a mother knocking on that door to say, you know, allow me to be reunited.
From a personal point of view, and as a mother, how much of a nightmare has this been for you?
It's very, very, very difficult. I think anyone who's a parent, whether you're a mother or a father, most people couldn't imagine being away from their child for 1 hour, let alone having to wait till my son is 5 now. In terms of the judgment, I'm not allowed to see him. I won't see him till he's 18. It's very crushing. But at the same time, I can't stop fighting as a mother, and that's all I can do. That's my instincts tell me that, to do that every day.
So what happens next? Where do you go from here?
Well, the next issue is going to be, there's this United Nations examination, so we will be looking at that. I have the support of a London-based charity, Southall Black Sisters, who are doing a lot of campaigning around domestic violence. So the Bring Louis Home campaign has a lot of support and public support. I'm sure some of your viewers have been sort of following our case as well. So I think it's immensely important that, you know, thank God we live in a society that you're allowed to have that. And also the UAE, I do hope that they will enable me to see my son on compassionate grounds, because it's just very, very cruel and inhumane to have this situation continue any longer.
Afsana, we're all deeply touched by your story. Best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles.